That's all
keep
we
your
do.
Hands,
We do a podcast.
Keep your hands above the table where everybody can see them. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of the RoadFS Podcast, where every week we get together to explore some amazing guests, business, suppliers, vendors, and man, you talk about an amazing guest this week. I'm telling you.
So
I don't think we've had as many people just in the promo go, "Oh, I can't wait for this episode."
Right. We seriously, and I think it's because just you've been kind of an icon in the industry for so long, Megan. So, how are you?
I feel like you just called me old.
No. We've already discussed that. You're not even close to as old as we are. So,
dude, look at all this wine. I am the old. It's weird to even think that I'm the old guy at the table because I don't feel old.
Yeah, and you don't look as old.
All that matters.
Yep,
that's good.
So it's even hard to say Megan at CarCandy Detail Products, but let's talk about CarCandy because they have not been around for 25, 30 years. But tell us about CarCandy and where and what and all the good stuff.
You know, it's kind of a unique situation. It was part of a raw goods, a chemical company, and the owner currently worked for her dad, and she kind of developed a car care line just out of the mere need. She was visiting clients and they were like, "Hey, do you have any, degreasers and products?" So she went to her dad and said, "Hey, I'd like to do a little spin-off of what we're doing and maybe do some car care." And it just developed from there. And then she actually bought the company from her dad last year. Actually, I think it was November. And so then I became available in December, and the rest I think is going to be history.
Yeah. So where is the company based out of?
We are in Lakeland, Florida. We are all under one building. Our chemist, our retail store, our blending, our filling and packaging, and all of our offices. We are all under one building here.
Well, one of the things that has really struck me about CarCandy is they've made it fun. I mean, they have their little truck that they drive in. They got their cool, fun logo with M&Ms. I feel like I need a bag of Smarties and M&Ms on the table. It's like just walking up to the booth, wherever they are, I always feel like it's going to be a fun experience. And I guess that's kind of the name, CarCandy, eye candy. I am the eye candy of RoadFS Podcast. But, you got
he was going to go there.
So let's talk about this move. I mean, you've been such an industry leader for so long. And,
not that long.
Okay. You're the one emphasizing long. I'm just saying she's got
at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, 5 years. All right. So she's great. So
thank you.
So let's talk about what you're bringing to the table at CarCandy and what can we expect.
I think for us, our goal is to build the brand. Like you said, it's a very fun brand. I think the vibe of the whole brand is just real fun. It's easygoing. Everybody's really attracted to, the logo, the packaging. So, I think, with me coming on, Ashley, the owner, has some assets that I just don't have. She's really good with the sales and all that, and I tend to do really good with the, logistics and running the operation, and just kind of, one of my favorite things is to take something that's, not quite well known yet and just take it to the industry and get it out there. So, this will be our first year showing at SEMA. We're building a booth currently. We're redoing all of our packaging. Our labels are being redone currently. We've got, I think, 124 labels that we're redoing right now.
Wow.
So we've redone the bottles. All that's coming out new. So everything will be brand new. And hopefully by SEMA, we'll also have new products that will be released. So really, that's kind of the plan. We're just kind of getting it retail market ready. And from there, hoping to take over the industry.
There you go. So do you guys distribute, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions as if I don't know CarCandy at all. So do you guys distribute other products from other companies, or are you strictly a in-house distribution for CarCandy?
So we only do chemicals on the CarCandy side. We have some accessories. We are exclusive with RoadFS. We carry their whole polishing system.
Awesome.
And we've done really well with partnering with them with a lot of training. They're great people to work with. And then, we do have some accessories because we have a lot of dealerships that we, tend to. We have several route trucks that have, different areas that we deliver to daily. So we have, accessory lines, but when it comes to chemical, we are purely what we make in-house.
Yep. So I think that's a big distinction, and I wanted to bring that up on purpose because I think a lot of people looked at CarCandy and your background and thought, oh, it's another distribution company, but it's not. It's actually, you, like you said, you have in-house chemists and you produce your own products. It's not rebranded. So what kind of sets the CarCandy line, other than obvious marketing, branding, and a cool little truck, aside from other companies? I mean, are you, talk about the chemicals and what's the difference between products?
I think one of the big benefits is a lot of it you'll find that will come in the concentrate. So, if you're a detailer, a dealership, wherever you're working at, if those ounces mean money to you, it's a car care line that you want to look into because we really make it to where it's affordable, but not just affordable, but that you get a long run out of a bottle. So, I think that's what really kind of sets us apart. I think the other thing too is the difference is you could be sitting at your desk and think, you know what, I think I would like to try a new product, which I discussed with Ashley last week, something new I wanted to do. And within the next day, we had a sample sitting on my desk from the chemist. I didn't like the scent. So the next day there was another sample on my desk. So the fact that we can move quickly is really cool. I've never had the opportunity to work with that. The fact that you can just walk down to the chemist and talk directly to them through a product and say, these are the things I don't think, and literally watch the change happen right in front of your eyes. To me, that's a cool factor. It's not something I've had the joy of dealing with. So
yeah, no, that's fantastic. So, so you guys are going to be at SEMA this year, which is awesome. We are also going to be at SEMA. We've been invited to a couple of booths. We are going to be stopping by the CarCandy booth. And is the truck going to be there, or is it going to be a different booth? Or can you?
No truck this year. So
Okay.
This is our first year at SEMA. So we are having a custom booth built.
Nice.
The truck is good for short runs.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't want to drive that thing all over.
Well, I
Sometimes
was thinking, as you're talking about building a booth, I was thinking maybe you could do it all in this candy apple red and have everybody in those old time ice cream parlor candy suits, pinstripe with the little hat, and say, come on by to the CarCandy booth. Is that what it's going to look like?
Well, you know what? I'll be very honest with you. Our original thought process was kind of close to that. Not so much the uniforms, but yeah. But we've kind of, the booth has been an interesting build. It has evolved probably 12 different times, and we finally have settled on something that we're really confident, to take to SEMA. So it is finally done. We're just working on graphics now and a couple of really cool custom items that are being built for the booth that we'll end up being able to bring back to the shop to keep. So
cool.
We're pretty
That's
excited.
always good. With the expense of SEMA, you need to do that. You need to bring stuff that you can bring home, because when those 5 or 6 zeros start flying out of the bank account, it's insane. So that's going to be fun. We'll be there. We're going to do we'll do a live from inside the CarCandy booth. We'll grab some people and do that. That'll be super fun because this year's a little different for us. We're going to be at multiple booths. So we'll be spending a day at individual booths and be around there. But it's coming up quick. I mean, it's August, but you're like you guys are doing right now. SEMA's right around the corner. You got to start planning this stuff out in advance. So
yeah, I think if you're not almost done planning at this point, you're not going to make it. It happens so fast, and things take so long. Graphics and just anything that you need to take. Especially when you're custom building stuff, it's just the time is crazy, and you want to be ahead of it. You definitely don't want to be struggling because anxiety then kicks in, and that's not a place you want to be at.
No.
So, I mean, it's kind of fun to watch you moved from Auto Geek into CarCandy, right? And taking on this role of really trying to build this really positive and fun brand. Now, what have you learned in the process of going, all right, I'm making this transition? What are the things that we need to do as a team to explode our brand strategically? Because I think a lot of times we as business owners, we have these big dreams and we're in a hurry to get them done. And yes, there is a pace that you need to march towards, but how have you wrestled with, all right, I got this vision, and how do I bring that vision in a way that gets everybody on board so that we can build this image and brand?
Well, I think the important part of that is, you work as a team. If you don't have everybody on board, you're not going anywhere. And we're very blessed here. Everybody wants to see this brand grow. From day one when I walked on the scene, and nobody ever likes the new guy, but from day one, everybody's just been all in, wanting to make sure that, we do the best we can to make this brand as large as it can be. And I just feel like, there's a lot of heart into it here. And that's something I can always work with. There's no pushback. It's like, let's do it. But I think as a company, if I, look at it that way, I think the most important thing is the focus. Easily when you start a project or you're headed down a road, you can get sidetracked easily because there is a lot going on, and I think for us, we get excited and we tend to run off and, go in different directions when we have to pull each other back and say, okay, this is our focus. We got to get this done. And so as long as you keep doing that, you stay organized with your timelines. I have more Excel sheets going right now than I care to talk about. And a lot of it's just being, you have your budgets, you have your list, and you just commit to making it happen. And for me, if you're doing all that and you're working with a great team, suddenly you turn around and you're just having a good time. It's not even work. I mean, don't tell the boss that because she won't pay me, but it's not work.
It's too late. Yeah, I want to remind you that we are live, but ignore that part.
What is the boss's name? I did not catch that. Sorry.
Ashley. Ashley is our owner. Ashley Nye.
That's cool.
So I think that the really cool part about our industry right now, and sorry, I'll get on my high horse for just a second here, but I heard some people talking about we're not really an industry, and that is just complete crap. We're an industry so our industry of the detailing, I think the fun part about it is also one of the things that keeps all of our companies going is it's the perceived competition and the different brands. Because, as soon as there's a brand that comes out and they have this thing and it's the new thing, everybody sort of migrates towards that. And I think that's really fun to see how people do it differently. I know that sounds weird, but like with chemicals, for instance, the scents that people come out with and the different types of abrasives and you remember back, probably before you were in the detailing industry, long time.
10 years ago.
When compounds were so dusty that it was just a mess. And now you look at it and kind of reflect back on that and go, wow, it's not like that. There's not stuff like that. And it's really, I think that is the greatest thing about the industry right now.
Yeah, buddy,
yes,
Shad,
sir,
that
Shad.
is very true.
So now we've got all these products that come out, and it's just a continuous improvement of the process. And that's what I think people miss out on, that when there's somebody that's out there, and yes, they're a competitor, we're all competing for business, but there's enough business for everyone. And when you see an innovation or you see a change, it just helps you and your brand go forward. And I think that's what I think is really cool about what you were saying about being able to just walk down on the floor. That is something that Jody and I, we want to be really involved. And in ours, we just walk next door to where the developers are. We have a ton of input. If we don't like something, we're like, yeah, no, that's not it. And so it's the same kind of thing that you were saying. We really like being hands-on in that part of the industry to see what works and what doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, everybody that's in the detailing industry, the products you guys produce, the products we produce, we're all just trying to make the detailers' business work more efficiently and make more money. and that's really where it's all comes down to is trying to be able to make them all work great. So first off, those are Skittles, not M&Ms. Just so you know.
Well, it's because I like M&Ms.
Yeah, no, those are Skittles.
They could be M&Ms for you.
So you said you're rolling out some new products. I'm not going to ask you what they are because you're probably not ready to release them yet.
Come on,
but
Megan, you can tell us.
Even with the new products, how big is the CarCandy line? I mean, how many different products do you guys have?
Well, we just talked to the graphic artists. We're redoing labels, and most of them have 2 sizes. We're at 124 labels so far, and that's not including our new products.
Wow.
And then, we do a lot of products in bulk for, some other industries. We have brake cleaners. We have a lot of industrial type stuff too. So, and that's kind of interesting for me because I've never really dealt with that, but I'm learning as fast as I can. But the product line it's pretty deep. We try to service a little bit of everybody. I think, there's a few things that, I saw that I thought, I think we could really use some of this. We have a couple openings. And so we're hitting those for our new product launch. And then, we're adding on, I can tell you this because we already have it, but we have a boat line and we're adding on to that a little bit. We have a lot of clients that requested some marine products. So we're working on those. We're getting them all harbor safe. And then hopefully we'll get those launched by boating season or before.
Oh, that's super. Well, it is boating season.
Yeah. So depending on where you are, it might be boating season all year round.
That is true. If I was,
So pro tip for all you guys out there that didn't know this and who haven't been a mechanic in the past, brake cleaner also gets stains out of your clothes. So
where did that come from?
She said they have brake cleaner and industrial stuff. So when I was a mechanic, if you got grease on something, you just hit it with brake cleaner and you just.
So I want to go back to something you said a little earlier about for those detailers that are concerned about ounces. I think that is an important thing because I think a lot of detailers, they just get into the motion of, I got to detail these cars. Oh, I need product and I buy product. I need towels. I buy towels, right? And a lot of them struggle and their costs get away from them because they're not attuned to the ounces. So as a leader in the company, can you talk specifically about what business owners should be attuned to, both from the product side as well as other things that they're managing in their business to be successful?
Yeah, I think we can all agree that one of the biggest struggles in this industry has been we've had some amazing detailers, but being a business person, an amazing detailer does not always go hand in hand. And if you don't manage the business side, which, you guys have always got a little something that helps them with that too. But if you don't manage your business side, you can be the best detailer you are, but you're just not going to go the long haul. So, we always talk about, like even if you're dealing with a dealership, they know down to the ounce per car, what they're using. And if you get somebody kind of new, and we talked about this the other day here in the office, they'll take a car wash that might be extremely concentrated, but they're just going to pour it in. They don't really think about it. It doesn't matter if you made it more concentrate to make it last longer for them. It's instinct just to pour it in. And so to me, it's just kind of like anything in life. If you want your money to last, you pay attention to those things. Don't go the easy route. Don't not concern yourself with the business end and just be, handling the polishers. You've got to make sure you cover all your bases. So when you can find a chemical that is highly concentrated and is still in a reasonably priced category, that's where you want to be working with, as long as it's a quality chemical. I think some people get caught up in the fanfare of these new products coming out and there's all this hype and everybody's using this, and it's $60 a gallon of soap when, you can probably go get something really good quality at $20. It's not about what the guy next to you is doing. It's about, can you pay your bills at the end of the week and provide for your family? And I think that's like a good focus that this industry really needs to, pay attention to, and it's much better than it was 20 years ago when I started out.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is the key. And that's what I think Jody's bringing up, is a lot of times people aren't even aware of those costs. The cost of doing business as a detailer includes everything. It's your shop space, it's your clothing, it's your rags, it's your chemicals. And if you're not following the manufacturer's recommended mixing ratios and you're just kind of blip, blip, go, I saw some
and then
posts.
they complain about the
Yeah.
product not working.
I actually saw a post, a series of comments about it, where somebody was like, well, I did this and I used this product and now there's this haze all over everywhere a day later. And I'm like, and immediately the rep for the product jumped in and said, what was your mixing ratio? How long did you let it sit? This is and they basically helped walk them through what they were doing wrong. Because I think a lot of times if somebody grabs, like you said, a soap, and we just grab this normal, it's just soap, we just grab it, put it in the bucket, go. Well, is that soap designed for a foam cannon? Is it designed for a specific mixing ratio? Is it a rinseless? Is it, there's a lot of different qualities in those products. And I encourage people to pay attention and to either go get trained or spend the time talking to your rep to find out what the proper usage of that, whatever chemical you're using is, and understand what it does. And I think that a lot of times we might get in a situation where we think we know it because I've used another product that was similar or whatever. And that's where each of the chemists and the different companies that you're using have a specific best practices in mind for that product. And that's why people should read the MSDs and all of those things. So, I mean, you could go down that rabbit hole forever, but to your point, the business end of things is knowing your product, knowing the right ratios, and knowing how to apply it or remove it so that it gives you the best possible finish that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, we're all kind of creatures of habit. Nowadays, you pick up a bottle and you just start using it, and then you have, companies like us, and we're trying to dial it down and back and make it as most, economically reasonable for you to use it in your shop, and, changing some things. And it's just out of habit. We have one of our best-selling products is Chocolate Thunder, and you can cut that several times. And everybody I talk to, nope, I just use it straight. I love it. And I'm like, well, you know what? You could probably get a lot more out of it, if you follow the directions. Well, I just like to go ahead and spray. Well, then, I can't do anything for you. We're over here trying the best we can. But if you love it, then go ahead. But, my thing, that just goes back to the business side of it. When you are counting pennies and paying attention to those things, those will be the people that, we're looking at 20 years down the road, and they have these well-established, detailing companies, and they've really made good choices. I can think of several in this industry that I knew 20 years ago that were starting out, and now they have just amazing shops. They've grown, they're into different things, they're doing tinting, the PPF, they've added on services. They've become a business owner. They started as a detailer and now they're a business owner. And it's really good to see that.
Yeah. And I think that's everybody's dream, if you will, is the goal is to do that. And I think there's a lot of people that they hold themselves back. They won't take that next step to be a business owner. And I go back to years and years and years ago. I know a guy that he was big into Harleys. And he was out cleaning his bike one day, and he has a toothbrush, and he's cleaning the fins of the Harley engine. And his wife came out, and she just looked down and she said, "Who owns who?" And if you relate that back,
Tracy?
No, it was not. She doesn't care. So if you relate that back to business, it's the same thing. There's so many business owners that are so concerned that they are the best paint correction person in the industry, when in reality, what is your end game, right? Is your end game to be the best paint correction specialist, or is your end game to be a business owner that's making money? And that's, as Jody and I, when we have our meetings and we talk about RoadFS and how going forward, the end game is to have a good business that helps other people. And whatever it takes to get there, if we have to switch and change and move in different directions. And I think that's what you're mentioning as far as going down on the shop floor and talking to the chemist. If the scent is bad, if the feeling of it is bad, I mean, a lot of people are textile and they like hands-on, and the smells and everything are really important. And as detailers, it's the same thing. We can go too far. We can go to the point where it's like, my one-step correction is actually that guy's two-step and he gets paid $2,000 for it and I'm getting paid $1,000. You're going to be out of business because you need to give the customer what they're asking for. And a lot of times it's the, I use this analogy all the time. As a mechanic, everybody hates doing the brakes on a Honda. They want to work on a Corvette or a Ferrari and they want to do something cool. Detailers are the same way. We all want to work on something cool, but what keeps the lights on is that return customer that comes every other week for that maintenance wash and twice a year comes in for a big detail. That's where you're going to keep the lights on. And so that's where I think the chemical companies are doing a great job of coming up with products that meet both sides of that. It's not all about ceramics. It's about what keeps the lights on in your particular industry. So you guys have, which I'm blown away by over 100 products.
That's amazing.
And you do a lot of stuff in dealerships, which I think people shy away from. So when you go into a dealerships, do you set them up with the mixing ratios and the machines and everything to do that? Or are you just selling products to their detailing bays?
Well, it just depends on the dealership. We're able to package up to, we start at 32 ounces and we can go up to a tote. So, I mean, it just depends on their setup. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. Some of the dealerships, the detail guys are independent. Some are, detailing per car. So it's a per car fee. So I think, with each one, you just have to approach it with whatever works for them and be able to customize it for them.
I think that's an important lesson too. I think a lot of business owners have in their mind what they want to sell. And it is not what the customer is hoping for or imagining. And I think it does one of two things. Either it pushes them off, right? It's like, man, why are you selling me so hard on the ceramic? I just want a full detail and a nice feel on my car and clean, right? And I want the interior clean. And we get so focused on, oh, I got to do this. Other detailers are doing this in their business. I need to do this, right? Instead of going, all right, what does this customer need? And take the time to educate and consult. All right, there are various options that we can approach this. But what is best for you? And when you start getting into the best for you mentality as a business owner, all of a sudden you build a really strong reputation as a detailer and business owner that cares about their customers, and your brand will roll forward like you never imagined before.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those guys, the problem they, have is that guy that might want a little bit simpler of a detail might be the ceramic guy in 2 weeks. So, sometimes you have to form that relationship. It's really hard, to go in and say, I need $1,500 on this detail when this guy's like $1,500, and he's probably been driving through the car wash for $20, for a long time. And so to take that big step it's pretty significant for the customer, but you can ease them into it. And I think, like you're saying, everybody thinks, well, everybody's doing ceramics, so I need to do ceramics. Well, what pays the bills is having cars in the shop. It doesn't matter what they're in there for.
Yep.
They're in there getting work and you're collecting money.
Yeah,
Right.
one of our largest customers, all they do is used car details and new car prep. And I'm telling you, they are killing it.
Yeah, they make so much money.
Killing it.
And I think the key there is that no matter what car's in the shop, that you have designed and built your business around the profitability of whatever it is you're doing. Years and years ago, we were at a dealership with a client. They were one of our first clients, and they had very limited service offerings. They started out as a paint chip repair, and then they did some leather repair. Probably not as good as you, Richard, but We were in the back of the shop, and the service manager came in and said, "Hey, I just sold this woman on headlight restoration. You guys do that, right?" And he just looked at me like, and I said, "Oh yeah, we do that, no problem." And the guy left, and he says, "I don't even know what to charge." And I said, "Charge $65, and I'll show you how to do it." So now they have that as an offering, but we had to build in the fact that $65 covers the cost. And they weren't, at that time, they're not looking for, 4 levels of sandpaper and 3 different pads and a ceramic covering it. They're looking at sand it, polish it, put something on it, run it out the door. I mean, this was quick and dirty. And so the $65 covered that particular time. This was 2013. So everybody relax. It was a long time ago. $65 was good for headlights. But that, I think, has come a long way as well. And I think that as long as whatever that service is you're offering, and I know who you're talking about, they're in Florida, which started out 8 or 9 years ago as a single person operator. And now he owns the building and he's got a storefront. He's doing fabulous. We've been there a ton of times. It's Justin Lobato, and he's done an amazing job of becoming a business owner and building up his company to the point where now he offers multiple services. It's not just detailing, the PPF and the tinting and the products that he sells. So I think that's, a lot of people have that as a goal, but you've got to look at it and not just look at the end game, where you're going to get there, but the journey to get there. What do you need to do to get there? You can't become a tint expert without doing some training. You can't do PPF without doing the training. You've got to build yourself up or hire someone that does that. And I think that's probably, as you being in the industry, as you've hired and fired people, the hardest part of a lot of business owners is turning something over to someone else. You know how to do it. I'm really good at it, but now I got to hand this to you and you've got to do it. So what kind of advice would you give business owners to kind of get them off that ledge and bring someone else to do that?
We were talking about this a few days ago. I think the biggest key that you can have as, management, whether you own or manage a company, is you have to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. And I feel like a lot of times people's egos get in the way of that. I'm 50. I'm not the smartest on everything. Technology, there's some young kids out there that can run circles around you. And I think people's own pride get in the way of saying, hey, this is a guy, he can do it better than me. Or maybe he doesn't do it better than you. Maybe he does it 85% as good as you do it. But if you keep trying to hold everything on, you're only going to do it 70% as well as you can, because your basket's full. And I'm probably guilty. I will take on until I crack. But I will always keep up with it and I'll give it my all. But if I can give it to somebody and I'm confident with that, then I want them to own it. It's just a matter, you gotta, you hold them responsible, you help them, you're there for them. But I think the important thing too is you always have to tell people, if you need help or if you're struggling, it's not a negative. Just let me know. And if you have those honest conversations with people, there's no need not to hand on down some work. You can't own it all. You just can't. And I think you'll find too, when you have a team of people, there are people that are just better at things than you are, and there's things you'll be better at. Own what you're good at, and also own that somebody's better than you at something else.
Yep, absolutely. That's perfect.
I love that advice, man.
It is one of those things where I think people, they get so worried that they're not going to do it exactly like I do. Years and years ago, in another lifetime, it seems like, I was a competitive distance runner.
When was that?
A long time ago. And so
when he actually had hair,
it
was flowing as he was racing down the track,
I was so fast it all blew off. So anyway, I was going to go to this race, and it was a nationally sanctioned race. And I was pretty cocky as a 16, 17-year-old kid about my abilities, because I had gone pretty far. And my dad looked at me one day and he said, just what you said. He said, there's always going to be somebody that's faster. And I was so pissed off. I thought, I took that as I'm like, you don't believe that I'm the greatest that's ever existed? And later on, his point was very well taken. And I actually thanked him for it later on. And he was one of my biggest supporters while I was doing that. But he was right. There's always going to be somebody coming up behind you that's better. So don't make, his whole point was don't make being the best such a big deal. Your company can be the best in your area, but it's only as good as the people that you have in the business. So, Jody and I both have a technical background. We both know nerd stuff. We both can do a lot of nerdy things. I've been out of it for so long that I don't even attempt to do that. My statement all the time is, if I'm programming the software, we're in trouble because I've been out of it so long. And like you said, these other guys know how to do it so much better and so much faster that I'm glad I'm not involved in that part of it because I was okay at it, but I wasn't the best. And I'm very thankful that we've hired people that are really smart to do that. Just like, CarCandy hires you to come in and do the things you do because you're good at it and you've proven track record. And obviously I didn't even know CarCandy existed until a few years ago. And that's, I think, the power of bringing in good people.
Yeah, I hope everybody knows it exists here very soon. That's the plan, the master plan.
Well, they do now. There's so many people that do.
That's super awesome. So how do people learn about CarCandy if they're not going to SEMA? Obviously, if they're going to SEMA, come to the booth. But in the interim, if they're interested in knowing more about CarCandy, who do they get connected to and what do they need to do?
We have our website, we have social media, we've got a Facebook page, we have Instagram, and I'm always very open to anybody just contacting me directly. Anybody that's looking for any distributorship information or chemical information. I like to be very involved with all that. So anybody's, I think, understands they can always reach out to me on social media. I usually get 3 or 4 people a day, and it's always great to talk to people. I've talked to people I haven't talked to in years that have been reaching out to me lately. So, I think that's the fun part of this industry. You meet people years ago and they come back, it's kind of full circle. And it's just a good group of people. So, I enjoy talking to everybody. So anybody that wants to know anything else about CarCandy, I am open. I have time. I'll take phone calls, very make myself available.
Yep, absolutely.
That's all. And you have always been very available, when we've reached out. So we want to thank you for being a part of our podcast because we always love the conversation. I think about some of the conversations that we've had, at tables at, Mobile Tech Expo and Southern Detailers Conference. And, I love it when we're able to get together as leaders, fellow owners, fellow suppliers. It's always fun because I always draw something from your experience or something that's said. And that's really the ultimate drive of our podcast. Is like, what can we share with you in your business that will help you ratchet it up just one notch? Because it's amazing what one notch improvement does to your business in a year.
Yes. You know what? I always tell people, even when they're struggling, small steps are just as good as big steps. So when you talk about one notch, if you're struggling and you can only make that little step, that's okay. Just keep moving forward. And that's kind of my rule of thumb with the business. We just keep moving forward. We're doing it right. We're making steps. We might not be jumping right now, but we are making those steps and they're solid. Mm-hmm. Might not be long distance runners like some of us here, but
not anymore.
You can run a long way on that, baby. All you need water. If I could
convert that into energy, but not anymore, baby. So no, and I really appreciate that. Like you said, the next step, like obviously this is the first time you guys have had a booth at SEMA. That's a huge step. But like you said, we always say it as adjusting the knobs. You can adjust 1 or 2 little things that you don't know will ratchet your company up, and all of a sudden it takes off. Maybe it's becoming a distributor. Maybe it's becoming somebody that's involved in ceramic coatings or finding a coating that's really your favorite one to be an installer for. Whatever that is, people, I think that is growth in a company. I think people equate growth with massive amounts of dollars. But if I take on a new product, if I take on some CarCandy lines of stuff and I really like it and I start moving forward with that and I get a new clientele, that's growth. And people have a tendency, I think, to look down on that. It's not. It's how you move forward. What you're doing today is going to affect you in 3 years. And people don't realize that. They do something, they'll go out, we'll do a sponsorship or we'll do something, and we won't see an immediate response. And people have a tendency to go, I'm out, I'm done. And then 2 years later, somebody calls you. We just had this happen 2 days ago. Somebody called and said, we met you guys a year and a half ago. I now have a detailing company and I need your software. So people have got to realize that changes don't come overnight, and make the adjustments and stick with it and keep rolling forward. And I think that's, two of the things I think that I'll say is, one of the things that I've seen you do is just always move forward. You stay out of the fray, you kind of stay out of all the high school stuff, to steal Alex and Jason's podcast about the high school mentality of detailing. And the other thing is just the professionalism. You've always been very professional and very approachable and open. So thank you for that. Everybody, if you've never met Meghan, go do that. Come to SEMA, go to MTE, whatever conference that they're at. We're going to be there. We'll jump in there. We're going to, at MTE, the next time we have the truck, we're going to have to do a podcast inside the truck.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Sit inside the truck.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Podcast in the truck. So,
I love that. So
anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
yeah, we appreciate your time. And guys, you gotta check into next week's episode. We have a very special guest. His name is Carter Jones. His company is Handicapped and Hustling. And I'm telling you, his story is absolutely amazing. So you're going to want to tap in next week. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
And we'll see you at SEMA, if not before.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.